Well, time now for the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the journalist and broadcaster Jenny Kleeman and the Times columnist and leader writer Sebastian Payne. Welcome and lovely to see both of you. So as ever, let's take a look at the front pages then, kicking off with the in fact, I say front, I mean back. There we are, back pages dominated by the Scotland team celebrating after their first World Cup qualification, I should say, since 1998. The Times back page as well, Scotland's American dream heading off to the World Cup finals, as you can see. Meantime, the Financial Times leading with MI5 revealing to MPs that the Chinese security services are attempting to recruit people who work in Westminster, while the Telegraph has led with a new report that claims the UK would not be ready for an attack if it came. The Eye hears that the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has told a small group of Labour MPs that she intends to impose a tax on the purchase of luxury properties. The Metro quotes the boss of Google's parent company suggesting that while it has largely embraced the advent of AI, people shouldn't blindly trust the technology. And finally, the Daily Star splashes their excitement for the return of TV cop drama Line of Duty. More papers to come in. We'll get them as we see them. First of all, though, Jenny, Sebastian, rapidly moving events in terms of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Finally, we see the criminal documents, 2 cases against him. It'll be fascinating, Sebastian.
It's extraordinary, given how long these documents have been kept under wraps, but also the sheer quantity of them, that over the past couple of weeks, we've seen quite a lot of leaks and various emails, and of course, the famous birthday book for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday that has come out from this trans. So I think the big question, which has been on the world's lips for such a long time, has been what else is in there? Who else is potentially going to be implicated due to their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, over the last couple of days, Lawrence Summers, who's the former principal of Harvard, has said he's going to step back from public life after more emails were revealed about his relationship with Mr. Epstein. So I think there's going to be much more of that to come. But of course, the question at the heart of it is Donald Trump here, because there's been a lot of reports about the US president's relationship with Mr. Epstein. And yet he's U-turned on his past position to say, yep, release all the documents. So either there is nothing in there or we'll soon find out what it is. So very, very interesting couple of days coming up on this story.
Yes, indeed. And we saw the survivors holding up photographs again of their age when they say they were abused. And it's very powerful to see that. And our correspondent, James Matthews, was asking about Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew. And they pointed out almost, I think this is the Senate, isn't it, actually? Live pictures of the Senate. I mean, it's been passed on a nod, effectively, hasn't it, as we were hearing. But they were saying, effectively, that the only people held to account are UK citizens. Ghislaine Maxwell, first of all, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. Yes, apologies. I'm ignoring that, what's on the screen right now. It's another feed. And Peter Mandelson, of course, as well as US ambassador. So 3 Britons have been impacted by this, and they'd like to see the same, judicious approach taken as the Brits have to those also implicated in this. You've mentioned some of the documents released. Well, that's part of the Epstein estate released by the House Oversight Committee. What we're now seeing, though, is those prosecution documents. First of all, 2008, when Epstein agreed a plea deal, and then 11 years later, when he was charged with running a network of underage girls for sex. He died, of course, in prison while awaiting trial. So it's those formal documents we're waiting to see, which will be truly fascinating.
And those documents which Donald Trump at any point could have released. So he could have released them yesterday when he was saying, oh, yes, let's have this vote. It was within his gift to have them released, and yet he hasn't done so. And what is interesting in all of this is that Donald Trump has such a talent for knowing what the public wants and giving them what they want. And he's really messed this up, having promised to release these files and then completely backtracking and then doing a sort of, oh, don't look over here, oh, this is all just a big Democrat hoax, this is all a big illusion. It does beg more questions about what is in there that implicates him. There is also the whole question of the Democrats would have known. They would have had access to these documents too, so they would have known if there was anything damaging about him in these documents. But all will soon be revealed, and these documents, my understanding, are not going to be redacted. There will be names out there in the public. And you're absolutely right that so far the only people who have paid any price for their association with Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes are British people. And it does seem extraordinary, given the scale of all of this, the number of victims, the amount of time that this was allowed to go on, that nobody else has had to face the consequences of what they've done.
Yeah, Larry Summers falling on his own sword, if I can put it that way, but the others have been held to account, certainly.
And I think what's interesting as well within sort of Donald Trump world, this story has split the MAGA movement because in the election, as you said, Donald Trump said we will release all the documents, it'll all be out there, and there's been a lot of speculation about whether there's Democratic politicians in particular been implicated in this. But the hesitancy that you mentioned, Jenny, from Donald Trump has been quite damaging, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's one of the most aggressive pro-MAGA, pro-Trump representatives, has fallen out with Donald Trump over this because she's wanted the full disclosure of those criminal documents you mentioned, and has played a role in sort of pushing the White House in that direction.
And she was stood alongside 2 Democrat members and the survivors today outside saying he's called me a traitor. I was there at the start supporting him. You know, I'm a patriot. This is some of the survivors hugging each other. You know, I mean, they've worked hard for this moment, have they not?
They have, and you know, this is all about power. It's some of the most powerful people in America and some of the least powerful, the least enfranchised, poor young girls who never felt that they were ever going to be believed and that justice was ever going to be done for them. And the idea that they're getting anywhere close to justice is an incredible thing. And, you know, princes have been toppled over this. Now let's see what happens in America.
Yes, and certainly, according to the Wall Street Journal, Trump was told by his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, back in May that his name does appear in these FBI documents, the paper pointing out, as we should, that being named in the files is no evidence of wrongdoing. So we need to bear that in mind when we finally see them.
It's worth noting,
Yeah, go on very quickly,
very quickly, it's worth noting, of course, though, that Donald Trump is currently suing the Wall Street Journal over their publication of the birthday book of those messages, which included a rather lurid drawing with Donald Trump's signature. He denies that was his drawing, says it was a forgery. But again, I think if he is named in these documents, as Pam Bondi has suggested, then I think that will again raise questions which are going to be very difficult for the president to answer.
Well, he, of course, no doubt distracted by the visit of the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, top of the front of the Financial Times, the two of them together. Quite a welcome it was. Cannons reverberating the ground, F-35s flying above. But it is the comments inside the Oval Office about the horrendous death of a journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, apparently by Saudi agents, which has led to the front pages we've seen.
Yes, this was 7 years ago. Jamal Khashoggi, who had a monthly column in the Washington Post, was critical of the Saudi regime, was murdered really horribly in the embassy in Turkey. And, you know, US intelligence ruled in 2021 that this was on the orders of Mohammed bin Salman. That has been the understanding. He is very seriously implicated in all of this, but not today in the Oval Office, where we had a whole bunch of revisionist history going on. The warmth between Donald Trump and Mohammed bin Salman is palpable. You know, they share so much in common. He clearly kind of admires him, he likes these big, powerful, strong men. They clearly have a similar taste in decor as well. And he was extremely defensive of Jamal Khashoggi. There was an ABC report, not Jamal Khashoggi, of Mohammed bin Salman, when an ABC reporter dared to bring up the murder of that journalist and him being implicated in it. And Donald Trump said, "You're just trying to embarrass my guest in the Oval Office," which, of course, he had absolutely no hesitation in doing when it was Zelensky in the Oval Office earlier on this year. But, you know, there's a lot at stake. Saudi Arabia has said it's going to invest $1 trillion in the US. You can understand why Donald Trump wants to maintain positive relations with him for no other reason than that. But it is sad that standards can be corroded so easily. And, you know, he can call it fake news. I remember what the rulings were at the time of how this man died, and he died because he was a critic of Mohammed bin Salman.
Yes, and it's all about money, you might argue. You know, the long defence of democracy is something that is fought and sought, you know, no longer really applies in these circumstances. You know, F-35s, the purchase of which has been highly controversial because of its high-tech military spec, and yet it does appear that that will be part of what we're going to see in the next day or so.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen today the kind of the the clash between Western values and hard currency, essentially. And the fact is that Saudi Arabia has not been welcome back since the death of that journalist from the Washington Post that Jenny mentioned, because of the intelligence that was said that he was murdered by, if not by the Saudi state, by agents of the Saudi state. Whereas Donald Trump was kind of, we saw the power actually of a free Western press when that Washington Post reporter took Donald Trump and Mohammed bin Salman to task on that. Donald Trump, in his typical manner, was very defensive and said the man you talk about, Mr. Khashoggi, was a very controversial figure, again, trying to sort of apologise away the fact that this guy was brutally murdered, and had a go at the journalist for being sort of offensive on the guest. But again, it shows the transactional nature he likes to do politics, doesn't it? Which is, you know, he is my friend, therefore we need to be nice to him. He's buying our fighter jets, he's investing in our country, so we need to go alongside that. But there just have to be limits on this stuff, and it felt to me as if the Jamal Khashoggi thing was a quite clear limit for a lot of Western countries when it came to close ties. But then, I mean, look at the White House, look how much gold leaf there is around that fireplace now. You can see why Donald Trump enjoys the company.
He was lamenting the fact he hasn't got a ballroom to host him in. He's had to disappoint so many people.
There's going to be some big, lavish black tie dinner in his honour in the East Room, which is going to be the entrance of this new ballroom. He's gone all out. Look how happy and comfortable he is next to this man. It is disturbing. It is disturbing what these alliances mean now.
Yes, and what the comments online are suggesting is that, you know, they don't even know where his remains are. You know, it's inconclusive for his family at this point. Let's go to The Guardian, shall we, which is the China spy warnings again in MI5 to named women acting as headhunters. For me, this comes as no surprise, I suppose, but this is the balance again, isn't it, with what we do about China, which is a great trading partner. We have outsourced our manufacturing to China. At Christmas, it will be hard not to buy Chinese goods, and what we do about any interference there might be from them.
So this was still quite a significant moment when the security minister reported this alert from MI5. And again, it's quite rare these things are made public, but it shows how concerned they are. So MPs and peers were warned today that they faced a covert and calculated attempt to recruit parliamentarians through LinkedIn profiles of China linked to the Chinese intelligence services. And it names those individuals in several of the papers tomorrow. And I think, you know, this shows the kind of constant attack that not just our MPs and peers, but the kind of the whole apparatus of the British state is being under attack by China. And you mentioned that question about, are they a friend? Are they an ally? Is it some kind of grey zone between the two? And the fact is, you can't ignore China. You can't pretend they don't exist. Labelling them a threat, I think, is an easy thing to say, but much harder to do in practice. But, you know, when we think back to the George Osborne, David Cameron era of the Golden Handshake, when we were welcoming President Xi to Buckinghamshire pubs for a pint, this is very different, and this shows the reality of what we're facing with China.
OK, both of you stay. Lots more still to discuss in the next part of our programme. Wealth taxes is one, and The Telegraph claims that Britain wouldn't be able to defend itself if it came under attack. Back in a moment.
She's preparing the ground to raise taxes.
The budget, I've got to do the things that I think are right.
There are tax rises coming down the track.
You can't rule out further tax rises.
It's exactly what she's going to have to do.
She'll be talking about that when it comes to the budget.
We'll be talking everything money as the Chancellor reveals what's in her budget.
Goodness knows how it's going to play out if these tax rises are announced.
It's like a football final with only one team on the pitch. This isn't just a call to vote, but a call to remember. The freedom fought for by the African National Congress. I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa. A cyclone and 2 burst dams wiped out hundreds of generational homes. This was the second dam that the floodwaters hit before it tore into Derna. We are in the heart of Nairobi, and we're watching as protesters were heavily tear gassed.
The sheer fearlessness and persistence of these guys is astonishing.
We help you understand the world with us. I remember going into the iconic Durman market in the heart of Sudan's capital for the first time since the war started. And this is what's left of it. Bullet holes through buildings, shelled balconies, bullet cases on the floor. I witnessed the complete destruction of a place linked to my childhood memories and the lives of millions of people. This is insane. This was a bustling residential area. So many friends who lived here. My most memorable interview was with a 15-year-old boy who'd survived being stranded on a migrant boat on its way from Senegal to the Canary Islands.
After 13 days, our food, water and fuel supply ran out.
I felt awe when we saw the mountain gorillas in Rwanda.
They call him the king of the jungle. This is the alpha silverback.
Sky News. Get the full story first. Yusra Al-Bagir, Sky News.
I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm Sky's Ireland correspondent based here in Dublin.
The waters of Ireland and Britain should be home to great white sharks.
If there are great white sharks in this area, there's no reason they wouldn't come here to feed. It's basically a buffet on a beach. This could be not only a record-breaking storm, but potentially the most dangerous storm ever to hit Ireland.
What might happen if Russia attacked the UK?
This is clearly an enormous show of force.
It is definitely out of the ordinary.
We ran a war game with former ministers back in the hot seat.
Ben Wallace.
Amber Rudd.
Jack Straw.
It's the kind of war game that's genuinely tested inside government.
The Russians are signalling that there may be an attack.
Russia knows our weaknesses, but do you? I'm Deborah Haynes. From Sky News and Tortoise, this is The War Game. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, welcome back. You're watching the press preview. Joining me again, Jenny Kleeman and Sebastian Payne. Welcome back to both of you. Jenny, Telegraph now. This is a year-long investigation which has concluded that the UK could not defend itself.
Yes, it's the Commons Defence Committee has commented on this failure to maintain and develop our capacity to resist an attack. And there's an irony in this. It took them a year to write this report, and they criticised the Labour government's glacial pace. I think everyone's being a bit glacial here. It is sad that in this country we seem to be unable to get anything done anymore. And there was a sort of sense a year ago and a lot of will from Keir Starmer to say, defence is a priority, we're going to up spending, everything is kind of ring-fenced. But having actually looked at our capacity and our ability to thwart an attack, we're still not there. And headlines like this, they're both predictable and very depressing.
I mean, the problem is, first of all, that we've known this for a long time, but solving it is the real problem here, because we've got massive procurement problems in the Ministry of Defence, which is a kind of a big scandal. I think it's been not tackled for a long time when it looks at projects that consistently go over budget, under-delivered. You look at the Ajax armoured vehicles programme, which is way over budget, way over time scale, which only finally delivered a couple of weeks ago and still doesn't meet the original specifications. You then look at the army recruitment. It points out in this report that, we've got slightly more than 70,000 fully trained soldiers, which is the smallest size since the Napoleonic Wars. And again, we've tried to fix army recruitment, not easy to do. So I think it's very easy highlighting this problem. What I think would be more insightful is having what can you proactively do? Throw money at the problem, fine, but a lot more of it's, I think, about the systems in our defences.
And the 5% promises delivered at 2035, is it? Have I got in my mind? But,
but the 5% thing, a lot of it is not going to actually be that. It's more 3.5%, and the rest of it goes on infrastructure and resilience. But I said it's not just money.
OK, fascinating. Well, we have a good go at producing an omni-shambles budget, though, don't we? Anyway, let's go to the eye on that. So what is the smorgasbord entailing? This looks like the wealthy hit with a mansion tax.
Yes. So, it's not looking a particularly tasty smorgasbord. If smorgasbords are really particularly your thing. The Eye reports tomorrow that Rachel Reeves is doing her pre-budget consultations with MPs, not briefing the media, which makes a change the past couple of days, where they've said that she revealed she's planning to target the highest value homes in the country with an annual levy next week's budget, often called a mansion tax. So we don't know what this will be. This could be sort of £2 million, for example, which might sound a lot to people, but then it has a great distortion effect on the rest of the housing market, and a big knock-on effect as well. But I think, again, the Treasury's working on a solution, according to the Eye, for asset-rich, cash-poor home buyers as well. So.
And this is amid word that the Cabinet today, Keir Starmer, said, you know, we're talking about ourselves, let's not.
Slap on the wrist.
Well, I mean, talking about themselves equals can you survive, Mr Prime Minister, doesn't it? Anyway.
Yes, and there was kind of vibes of a general election campaign today when you had Nigel Farage talking about what he would do on tax, and Kemi Badenoch, both of them saying similar things, which is, of course, we're not going to raise taxes, we're going to cut, even though, you know, Tories had the highest tax burden for 70 years when they were in government. You know, it should, on paper, the numbers should be working, not the numbers in the budget, but, you know, Labour should be in so much more of a strong position, and they've just been looking so consistently weak. And everybody is waiting to see what's going to happen in the budget, and with bated breath and feeling like that perhaps that this is going to be the kind of end of it all, really.
Okay, yes, indeed, so not long to wait now. In the meantime, let's go to the back pages. Scotland's American Dream, some fantastic pictures as well, and celebrations there. Aww. Stunning late goals. They were really late. Two of them were in extra time as well, weren't they? Stunning late goals take the team to the World Cup for the first time in 28 years. An absolute delight for those in Scotland.
Yeah, and look at it, there's McTominay looking so happy, so Scottish. Oh, the picture's changed. It's wonderful news.
Jenny, Sebastian, thank you both.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone, and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.